Good evening, live on Oneberg Facebook, Oneberg YouTube, or maybe you're listening back on Spotify. It is the 2025 WPIAL High School Football Championship Preview. I am your host, Ed Troup, and joining me is Brian Carothers on the far left or right on your screen, however you're looking at it. And in the middle, the thorn between two roses, or maybe it's the other way around, I'm not sure, John Fedko. Good evening, guys. How are you?
Oh, it's awesome. I'm doing great, man. It's Christmas time. Christmas music, it's the greatest.
I
Got,
love Christmas music too, John. I have it on. It's perfect.
yeah, oh, no question. You got to be celebrating already. There's November
John,
20th, man. It's Christmas time.
John, I want to start with this. You have a great vinyl collection of records behind you, right?
I do. Tremendous. I do have a big vinyl record collection. I
You
actually
have
do.
your own podcast where you feature vinyl records all the time. What's your favorite?
As a superstar record collector, yeah.
What's your favorite?
My favorite what?
Favorite vinyl. Favorite vinyl to listen to. What's like your top ones?
Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's phenomenal, but I mean, if I were to say my favorite vinyl records of all time, I'd put the Eagles in there. I just love the Eagles. You know, I'm a 65-year-old guy, so they sound great. And they didn't make a lot of albums. They made 6 of them that when they were, the real Eagles, not when they had to come back, they made more than that. But they made 6 studio albums, and I have 8 copies of all of them from all over the world. And that would be my favorite. But I have, I love Frank Sinatra. I love everything. I love all genres. I love the Spinners. I love that.
Wow.
I,
Ed, as John and I were filming Fedko on Oneberg all high school football season, we did it from his house. And I thought John was going to give me great advice for sports and journalism. He got me into vinyl records. He's like, you
That's
got to
right.
buy your favorite
Yeah.
album on vinyl and hear it. And he was right. My kids bought it for me, and it's tremendous.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I still love sports. Sports is my life. But I love history. It's one of the reasons I love sports. There's histories, and we'll talk about that when it comes to even WPIAL football. I love history, and so there's great history in music. There's great history in movies. I'm a big movie buff. I people say, "How do you stay young?" And I do feel young. I'm 65, but I feel like I'm 25. And really, I truly believe this when I tell you the real secret to staying young, besides prayer and my faith, and that's critical, but it is pray, listen to music every day, because that's a gift from God, and music is so important. And you don't realize how important music is. Listen to music every day and read a book every day. Read every day. Exercise your mind. And if you do those,
Ed can't read, John.
That's right. I can't.
I'll read something. Read something physical. Like they still make magazines. Read them because those computers, man, ruin your eyes seriously. And
Yes.
you get stuck on those things. Read, listen to music, pray, try to get outside. That's the secret of life.
I
I
love
love it.
it.
I love it. And take your vitamins and do the whole Hulkamaniac thing too, man. I
Got to
now,
work kinds of things. Yeah, with it.
now, Brian's right. It's got to have pictures on it for me to read it. So, but that's
Hey, Ed,
okay.
before we get into our previews for this week, you called North Allegheny versus Central Catholic last week. What was the vibe at Pine-Richland? And coming into it, did you know that that was going to be a Central Catholic slaughter?
I did. We kind of all felt it. I got to see Central Catholic the few weeks before that leading up. They're just a powerhouse. They're loaded with Division I talent. John, you were talking about that last week. And they took the opening kickoff, Brian, 97 yards for a touchdown, and they never looked back after that. North Allegheny, the great Art Walker, as John talks up each and every week when we talk about him. He's a great coach, but there's not much you can do with that. You give up the opening touchdown, your offense goes 3 and out. They come down, score another touchdown. They turn the ball over. Central scores again. Before you know it, it was halfway through the first quarter, and it was 21-0 Central already. Mercy rule in the second half. North Allegheny did get a score right at the end. They got on the scoreboard right at the end. A senior scored it, one of their senior wide receivers. But man, Central's they're gonna play in the state title game most likely against LaSalle College out of Philly, who they lost to in week 0, who's also a powerhouse nationwide. It'll be a phenomenal state title game, and who knows, maybe Central will win it.
Central's very good. I'm very concerned about North Allegheny. I think I stand behind a tweet I put out. It got like 40,000 views. and I stand behind it today. You don't get beat 67-0 without some kind of major problem going on. I don't care if he was rested in half the team, and I assume he was. North Allegheny should not be beaten by 67-0 to anybody in anybody in the country. And the fact they lost 67-0 tells me that there may be a serious problem in that school district. It's not Art Walker, who's one of the great coaches in high school football, and one of the one of the best coaches in the WPIAL the last
Right.
years. He absolutely is.
Yep.
And Bob Bizzuto is the athletic director, one of the best athletic directors in the country. So it's not those two guys. What the problem is, whether it's from the little, you know how it is, Ed. In all of these programs, it starts with the 7th and 8th graders and then moves down to the 6th and 5th graders. And the little kids football programs are important just so the kids learn to like football.
Sure.
That 7th and 8th program and that 5th and 6th year program is critical, okay? And I'm concerned there's something going on in that football program, maybe at the lower levels, because losing 67-0 means you've got a depth problem.
Right.
I'm really concerned about that program. It's an important program for our state. I don't root for any teams. I love Art Walker. That is an important program. And there's another tweet I sent out, I'll stand by. Next year is going to be one of the most critical years in the history of North Allegheny football. Because is this going to be a trend? And again, that 67-0 loss to Pine-Richland was shocking, okay? And that tells me they got a depth problem, and we may see it real quick next year. Doesn't matter who your coach and AD is.
Wait, hold on a second, though, Fedko.
What I'm looking for next year. I'm really looking at what's going on at North Allegheny next season.
Yeah, but this is a little bit like the Pittsburgh Steelers, where we say it was a bad year, even though they lost in the first or second round of the playoffs. North Allegheny still lost in the WPIAL championship. So you can't win every single game. I agree with you. These are issues, right? And that game against Pine-Richland was ridiculous.
Brian, I mean, you can't lose 67-0. That's literally that's literally people, I don't know, giving up. I mean, I played football. You guys, did you play football? I mean, I never lost 67-0 at any level, at any game. Was it even? And I played on some bad teams at Trinity, man. You just don't lose 67-0. That is
the Hillers
possible.
No, different Trinity, right, John?
Problem, and that's going on.
John, the Trinity you're referring to is out east in Pennsylvania, right?
Camp Hill, Pennsylvania.
Camp Hill.
Okay.
Yeah. Good call, though, Brian. I'm still impressed with your Hiller knowledge. Good job.
That's because John loves the Hillers.
People in Little Washington loved your shout out, I'm sure.
The Hillers.
So let's jump into the 4 championship games this upcoming Saturday at Acrisure Stadium. It'll all start at 11 a.m. This is one of the best days of the year, right? 11 a.m., 2, 5, and 8. There's 4 games that are showcased in the home of the Steelers and the Panthers. And it'll start with the Clairton Bears, who are 12-1 on the season. They play Laurel, who's a surprise, also at 12-1. They upset Fort Cherry last week. Clairton, John and Brian, we'll start with you, John, first. They're chasing their 15th WPIAL championship. A defense that's just allowed 5.6 points per game and 9 shutouts on the year. I saw Clairton around midseason. They're phenomenal. They're loaded. If the Bears win, this will be their 15th title, and they're number 2 all-time in the WPIAL out of all teams and all classifications. Aliquippa is number 1. They have 21. Number 2, Clairton with 14. This would be their 15th championship if they beat Laurel.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a program like North Allegheny's had. There's a program that starts with the little kids, and Clairton's phenomenal. I mean, they're just a powerhouse every single year. They put out a great team. Kids are always well coached, and they have 2 really good running backs: Dion Lovelace, Pompey, and Dante Wright. And one had 3 TDs, one had 2 TDs last week versus Canterman. I mean, it's going to be a really tough task for Laurel. And I'll tell you, I started Skylights in 1987. I remember like yesterday where Laurel was in the WPIAL title game, and that was in 1989.
Wow.
And it was against Clairton. And,
wow. John, was that the last time Laurel was in the WPIAL championship game? I think it was, right?
They were in it in 1989. Before that, they were in it in 1980.
Wow.
And 1980, they played Clairton, and they beat them, but they lost to Clairton. I think it was 27-20 off the top of my head. In that 1989 game, it was a great game, and the quarterback of Clairton was Wayne Wade.
Who's now the coach.
He's now coaching Clairton, okay? And Laurel is a beautiful, beautiful school.
Yes.
My kids went to Vincentian, and we got to play with Laurel all the time because we'd have games against them in all sports, and I loved going to that school. I loved the whole atmosphere around it. It's a great rural school, and they're they're a great story. This is why, Ed, I don't want to go to 4 classifications. You want to stay at 6, so you got teams like Laurel having shots to do something like this for the first time.
Right.
1989, and they were in the title game in '89. They didn't win it, so it's been since 1980 that they won a WPIAL football. But they have a great program out there. They have great athletes. Single A is really tough, man. You got these powerhouse in single A like Clairton. You always got to try to get through. I think Clairton beat them in a playoff game a few years ago, but now we're back in the WPIAL title. The last time they met was 1989 in a WPIAL title game. And again, I was 29 years old. I'm 65 now. I was 25 years old.
Wow.
So,
What's amazing too is that community has to just be on fire with excitement all week long, and they're in the shadows of some of those other bigger schools in that area as well, right? So,
Right.
to your point,
Newcastle.
John, this is Laurel's time to shine, man. I love an underdog, so I hope they pull it out. Clarendon's got enough of that they need it too. But for someone who's never struck before, this is so exciting.
yeah, and listen, there's great athletes in Newcastle area. I mean, there's great. Union is a great school out there that has phenomenal athletics. Laurel, and of course, Newcastle has phenomenal athletics.
Right.
And it's the kids out there are great athletes.
Nishanik.
Prize. And it's not Laurel has great programs. It's a great school district. I would, if I could pick a school, it'd be one of the schools on my list for my kids to go to. If I could live in a community like that. I just love the area out there. They have a great rushing attack. They had 300 yards rushing last week. They can win this game. They can win it by controlling the clock, keeping the ball away from Clairton, and running the ball. So they can win it. They can run the ball.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting one, man. But to go back quickly on what you had said, and I think it's probably the most talked about segment that you did with us here on Oneberg this season, John, is you're one of the few people who don't want to see it go back to 4 conferences within the WPIL. Why do you feel like that's so controversial? Because when you speak about it, it makes sense.
Strongly about it. Again, the thing about football is you want to participating in it. All I can do is speak for myself. I played football. If I didn't play football, there's no way I'd be on this podcast right now. Football changed my life. That's how important it was to me. And as the more young men can play it, the better. It doesn't matter if you win, you lose. I played in a Trinity team that got crushed every game. It doesn't matter. It's about playing it and the camaraderie and learning to be tough. And I think it's just insane to go from 6 WPIAL title games to 4. For the only reason people want to do this, and it's mostly older people. Okay, so I want to start with that: the media, fans, maybe coaches, and hey, those people don't count to me. It's all about the kids. They don't even count. All the people I just mentioned. It's all about kids playing a sport in high school. You only get 4 years of high school. And, the great thing about high school is those who are arts related can get into play and play in the band and learn to play an instrument. And those who can play athletics, especially at these smaller schools, may not be able to play at North Allegheny, but they can play at Laurel and maybe a star at Laurel and maybe sit the bench at NA. It's awesome. It's just awesome. It's what America's all about. Look at what happened last weekend. You had Aliquippa win another title. I mean, Mike Ward is great. He has the ability to, when all is said and done, to be one of the greatest coaches in the history of the WPIAL. The resume he's putting together. And you got Central Catholic, a powerhouse. Okay. Terry Totten was a powerhouse. They still are now. Okay, there's two teams right there that are going to win anyway. Okay, so
Wherever they are.
Brian,
Right. Right.
you go to 4, you got 2 teams this Saturday that aren't winning. And to me, it's a simple math. Everybody flips out about 6A. You know what? I'm positive the kids don't care. They don't care if it's only 7 teams and they got to play the same teams over and over. They just want to play. Okay, so all this nonsense about, well, it's, there's only so many teams in 6A and whatever, man. Give 6. I'd love to see it go 7. I
Right.
really would. Give
Yeah.
6 teams and 12 now. 12 teams an opportunity to play in a championship game. It's a no-brainer to me. I feel incredibly strong about it. If I was on that committee, I'd be pounding my fist down. Don't you dare go to 4. For what reason? For the old guys? Because they want better racing? This isn't pro baseball.
You know,
About
John, what's interesting is I know Ed wants to get out. We got to get on to our next round on it, but we had
That's a good
talked
subject.
about it. We had talked about it, but it's amazing on my end. I watch all the analytics and all the views and all the comments and all the things that happen on Fedko and Oneburg this season. And it is amazing when the regular season ends in high school football, that community kind of ends, right? In the sense that if you're in Plum and you don't make the playoffs, you don't necessarily care that Western Beaver is going to go to the playoffs because your singular in a vacuum season is over. So to cut that for an additional group of schools to not have that, you're actually slicing the entire excitement of the community, the excitement of the football season, the excitement of everything uh, by a large margin.
Yeah, listen, when I did Skylights, the 2 highest ratings, period, were the first week of the playoffs and then maybe the second week of the playoffs. It was either the last week of the regular season or the second, but always the first week of the playoffs. Always dramatic, unbelievable ratings. And a lot of that, I believe, was for those borderline teams that weren't going to play in the WPIAL, but that made the playoffs. You go to 4 classifications, and you're going to knock some of these teams out that made the playoffs that won't. It just makes no sense to me. It's all high school football. I'm not talking about the pros, and I'm not even talking about college. High school football should be
All about the kids.
all about the kids, not
Amen.
Absolutely. John, let's get to a question real quick from John Chapman, who has a pretty cool profile pic there, Brian. I know you always like the profile pics. The Chapman Way, it says there. He says, who coached that Clairton team? Pat Risha. I guess he's referring to the 89 team. You said that I don't think Wade wasn't there yet. No, it probably was Pat Risha, who's the historic head coach for Clairton.
Wade was the quarterback of
Right.
Claire.
So it was Risha.
Yeah.
Was he?
I don't even remember who was coaching Claire back then.
I think he was. I think he was the coach back in. John, let's look at Class 2A. Seton
I remember
LaSalle.
the quarterback. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a good factoid there by you. Seton LaSalle, 11-1 in Class 2A. They battle Steel Valley, who's 9-3 at 2:00. Seton LaSalle is powered by their running back Kamar Freeman and a veteran offensive line. Steel Valley has pit-bound running back. You've talked about him, John, a few times. Deron Barksdale, who's very good, a physical running game. Outcome hinges probably on which team controls the line of scrimmage and has the better running game between Seton LaSalle and Steel Valley. This will be a new champion claimed in Class 2A this year, actually for both 1A and 2A. 1A was Fort Cherry last year. They're out already. And South Park was your 2A champion a year ago. They're out. So 2 new champions for 1A and 2A. But talk about Seton LaSalle, Steel Valley.
Well, Steel Valley's got Barksdale. He had 5 touchdowns, 260 plus yards rushing last week against a really good Western Beaver team. I mean, he's going to be very, very tough to stop. But, one of the top 5 stories in the WPIAL this year is Seton LaSalle. I mean, they lost a ton of players to transfers. They lost Khalil Taylor to Pine-Richland on a transfer. And then the WPIAL, in their great wisdom, wouldn't let them have a quarterback come in.
Right.
So I'm very familiar with Tim Storino. I started a football at Vincentian Academy. I was desperately trying to keep that school open. I do believe if the football program would have been successful, we would have stayed open. The WPIAL came after me, put us on probation for some idiotic nonsense. So, we should do a whole show on that craziness. Well, the guy I hired, I went to Terry Totten. I went to a bunch of guys. When I was looking to start a program in Vincentian, I went to Terry Totten, and I went to Art Walker. I went to Jimmy Render, and I was looking for the best guy to start a program. I needed a young guy. I wanted a guy that was going to be there for 30 years if we were successful. And we found a kid named Tim Storino on the staff at Central. That was our coach at Vincentian who started the program. And that crazy WPIAL came after him and put him on probation for some idiotic made up stuff. It was insane what they did to me and him. And so they burned him again this year. And I just love this story. I love it. This is all about the coach. Tim Storino has done an unbelievable job at Seton LaSalle. And I believe in a just God. And I think God's just shoving it at the WPIAL. I've seen the WPIAL. I've been in the rooms. They hate the Catholic schools. They hate the private schools. And I'm not a big fan of Shadyside and Sewickley either, okay? But they really come after the Catholic schools. And Torino's just shoving it to them. And he is, and I know what Warfield's done at Aliquippa. And I love that guy. He's one of the all-time great coaches. Storino's the coach of the year. Tim Storino at Seton LaSalle is flat out the coach of the year.
Book it. Fedko says it. Book it. It's done.
Job there. And
God hates the WPIAL.
We really do, Brian. Need to do I could give you an hour story on how the WPIAL repaid me for skylights. Put my football program on probation.
That's unbelievable.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Up a bunch of stuff. It was insane. You want to talk about insanity?
John,
let's want to talk about being in a dark room with 20 powerful guys, and they had no mercy on me, man.
Wow.
I'm not asking them to give me any awards. They've never given me anything for skylights, and I'm not asking for them. They not only didn't give me an award, they brought the hammer down on me. Thanks.
Well, let's go to Class 3A, John. Avonworth 12-0. Imani Christian, speaking of another Catholic school, right? Or Christian school for that matter. They're 12-0. They're undefeated. Imani's been very impressive all year. Avonworth is the defending champ. They enter undefeated with a balanced team. Championship ready. Imani's averaging 48.5 points per game. A dominant run game led by David Davis and Gabe Jenkins. They've been very good. Avonworth, if they can slow down this Imani ground attack, they could have an opportunity in this game. But again, both these teams undefeated. Avonworth, your champ from a year ago in Class 3A.
This is the game of the year. This is the game of the year. And by the way, I love Imani Christian. Here's another great school, great Christian school. And Leroy Johnson has done an unbelievable job there. Here's a guy who, former great player, who's played in college.
Yeah.
And played pro football. And he takes over a program, and I know it's a private school, but they had won 4 games in 3 years. They were a disaster. They were on the verge of all kinds of trouble. Takes over this program, instills discipline, instills a great work ethic there. He's a great story, and Imani Christian is a great story. And they've got 2 great players that are going to be really, really tough to contain because, man, they can run the ball. They put up like 400 yards rushing last week. And they got a quarterback who's basically another runner, Gabe Jenkins, and then David Davis. They're loaded. They're loaded all over the field with great players. They're well coached, and again, Leroy Johnson, just hats off to him. Put the program together and what he's done. And of course, now he's going up against another guy. We talked about Mike Warfield at Aliquippa, who absolutely could be when we come back 20 years, and of course Brian and I will still be doing this 20 years, right, Brian?
I hope, of course.
How about me, John? Am I dead?
25 because I'm listening to music and I'm watching. But here's the deal.
And the hair looks
Saying your
good.
prayers.
The hair will be perfect. Okay, so here's the deal. I really believe in 20 years from now, when Brian and I are doing this, and Big Ed, you'll be here too. We may be talking Mike Warfield, one of the greatest coaches of all time, and the guy at Avonworth, Duke John Core. That guy, putting a resume together, greatest coaches of all time. Him and Warfield like to be on the Mount Rushmore. We're talking early here. Now, this guy's just crazy good. And he's got a ridiculous program that very much reminds me of Palco. And again, I love Bobby Palco. Same deal. Starts with the little kids, and then it goes all the way up to the high school. And he just plugs in kids. And what a powerhouse. I mean, they're an unbelievable defense up against another unbelievable defense in Imani Christian. This is the game of the year, man. This thing could go like, in overtime and be won by some crazy play. This is an evenly matched team, two great coaches, two great programs. This is the game of the year.
John, let's bounce over to Class 5A. Talk about Pine-Richland 11-1 versus Peters Township, who's 11-1. Pine-Richland seeks to repeat as champs. They're loaded. They have a lot of talent that they're returning. Peters Township, meanwhile, features the leadership of their quarterback, Nolan DeLuca, and also Reston Lemon, who's very good for them as well. Both teams thrive in tight games. They play physical football. Third straight season that they've both met for the Class 5A championship. Pine-Richland winning last year 20-9, and Peters Township winning in 2023 by the score of 43-17. Pine-Richland is a three-time 5A champion for WPIAL football, and overall they've won 9 championships across all classifications. I agree. Avonworth, Imani, very good, but I think this game will be a close second on Saturday.
Listen, Peters can really win this game. I mean, like you mentioned, Reston Layman, that kid is phenomenal. He plays defense, but they also threw to him last week, and he caught 4 passes for 100-something yards. He's a Division I player on defense. They had 9 sacks last week. Peters, they can play defense, and if you're going to play Pine-Richland, you better strap on your helmet because you better play defense because they get you all over the field with their great quarterback, Ubi Strader, who can run.
Yes.
That was your song.
He is my main man, Scooby-Dooby Ubi. And then Taylor is truly one of the great players in the WPIAL. He had a 100-yard touchdown last week. That's the kind of plays he produces. He'll produce one of those in this game. He's going to do something crazy. But Peters Township has a big-time defense. 9 sacks last week. They're very, very well coached. This is a great game, and this is a toss-up. This is not like, hey, Pine-Richland's, they deserve to be favored by a little, I believe. But Peters can absolutely win this game.
Well, let's go ahead and go through each game, and we'll get the game picks from all three of us. We'll start in Class 1A, Clairton or Laurel. Brian, we'll start with you. Who do you like?
Well, I like Laurel, right? We talked about it, so let's give them the first nod. I want to be alive for that because if we wait another 30 years, I might be dead.
How about you, John? Laurel or Clairton? Both teams 12-1.
I hate making picks like that. So I'm gonna make picks based on crazy Fedko stuff. So the thing I love about Clairton, they're the city of prayer. I can't pick against the city of prayer. Are you kidding me? I'm going with the city of prayer.
Yes.
I am as well. I saw the Bears earlier this season, and they looked unbelievable on offense and defense. I talked to Coach Wade after the game, and he said, look, we got 6 or 7 guys on this defense that can run a 40 in 4 seconds or less. I mean, that's how fast they are, which is just incredible at the high school level. So great story for Laurel, the Spartans out of Newcastle area for sure. Brian, I agree with you, but I'm going to go with the Bears along with John. Seton, LaSalle or Still Valley? We'll go with you, Brian. Who do you like there?
Well, how do you go against Fedko's guy? I'm going to go with Coach Torino and Seton LaSalle. The only reason is I hope Fedko invites me to a dinner with him so we can talk about the season and the evil WPIAL. Go Seton LaSalle.
I got to go with Timmy Storino. I love Still Valley. I mean, I love Still Valley and everything about it. Their stadium, their fans, the whole city. Home of John Fetterman. I mean, listen, I can't go against Torino. What a story!
It's your man. That's your boy.
It's this incredible story. He was so much adversity. Normally I like talking about the players, but on this coach, man, this guy's just done an unbelievable job. He really has. Quietly too. He's very humble. He's not a good quotable guy. Doesn't talk a lot. What a great. And I love Seton LaSalle. My wife used to work there.
I'm going to go with Still Valley in this one, guys. I'm going to go against both of you. I think Barksdale gets it done on the ground, and that's Still Valley, Munhall. Shout out to Munhall Homestead, Still Valley. Avonworth or Imani Christian? Brian, who do you like there? Both teams undefeated, 12-0. John thinks this is the game of the day.
Game of the year.
Game of the year.
Imani is going, and John did not touch on it, but Imani's going through a terrible tragedy right now. One of their players on the basketball team died in practice yesterday, which is horrible. And I just hope it brings the community together in a good way. So I'm rooting for Imani in this case, that their school's going through a lot. They've had a great year, and hopefully they can find a way to cap off and have a great time with it and forget what's going on in real life for 24 hours.
I'm actually going to go with Imani. I mean, I know Duke John Core is amazing, but I think these two players, Jenkins and Davis, Imani Scott, are just what a great compliment. And I again I think what Johnson's done at that school is really, it's great for the city, it's great for the sport, it's great for the kids. I love stories like this. So I'm going to say Imani.
Yeah, I'm going to go Imani as well. It's our first clean sweep of our picks. I'm going to go with Imani Christian, averaging 40.
Avonworth will have a lot more chances to win the WPIAL.
Yeah.
A lot.
48.5 points per game sounds right to me, but mad respect to Avonworth on an undefeated season up to this point. That'll be a good one.
John Core is one of the best coaches in the country.
Yeah, I agree, John. That's probably your game of the day. Finally, guys, Class 5A, Pine-Richland looking for back-to-back championships. Peters Township just 2 years ago winning WPIAL gold, and as we said, Pine-Richland looking for their 10th, number 10 overall championship if they can beat Peters Township. Brian, we'll start with you. Do you like the Rams or the Indians?
Well, the Rams beat my Moon Tigers last week. My kids were upset about it, but more importantly, my tax dollars now have moved on to other sports and other facility projects, not looking at football right now. So my money's now in the my money my money's now in the garage waiting to see how we do next year. So I guess I'm with Peters. Let's end this run on Pine-Richland, and for Art Walker and Fedko's favorite guy, Bob Mazzuto. Let's go, Peters.
How about you, John? Who do you like?
I love Johnny LaDon only because we were covering their KDKA. When I was working for KDKA, and his team ended up winning the state that year. John LaDon, the coach of Pine-Richland. I went to one of his practices, to do some interviews with him before a game, and he had a Christmas tree in the locker room. Whoa! What's up with that? He had a Christmas tree.
You got a close up of John there.
And the Christmas tree had an ornament, a picture of me. How can I pick against John LaDon? I can't
pick of you.
On the Christmas tree. I cannot pick against my main man, Johnny LaDon. That's the only reason I'm going with that pick. Yeah, easy stuff. That's why I don't like picking high school games, but
I'm with you, John. I'm going Pine-Richland as well. The B. Peters Township. I think they go back-to-back in Class 5A. So just to recap, Clairton and Laurel. Brian has Laurel. John and I both have Clairton. For Seton, LaSalle, Still Valley. All three of us. Or no, I'm sorry. Brian and John have Seton, LaSalle. I have Still Valley. We have a clean sweep of Imani Christian over Avonworth. And then Brian has Peters Township. And John, you and I both like the Rams of Pine-Richland. Guys, it's going to be an exciting day on Saturday. There's nothing like it. WPIAL championship football at Acrisure Stadium.
I just love the fact that KDKA Plus and the Steelers have stepped up and are televising the games. I think it's great for these kids. And it's great that they get to play in that state. I know they didn't have a lot of fans last year, maybe 10,000. Maybe they won't have a lot this year, but it's great that those kids get to play in that facility. Just like the baseball players should be playing at PNC Park. They should have the WPIAL championships at PNC Park, and they should have the championships at PPG. I mean, our taxpayer money went to some of this stuff. The kids should be able to play in these big stadiums. They really
absolutely.
But so I'm glad for the games. Or forget the fans. There may not be a lot of people. I'm glad to get to play in that facility, go in the locker rooms, experience. It's just cool. It's awesome. It's all
John, thank you for an awesome football season this year. You were great to watch. So many people in the Pittsburgh area were so excited that you returned to the airwaves, that you were seen once again and heard once again. And here's the bad news for you. If you want me to give you some bad news, you can't go away. You got to stay forever. You can't go away. Everybody wants Fedko.
I really think, Brian, I need to talk about. We need to do something way bigger next year. I mean, now with the technology and the way kids are so creative, Well, you could do something really. I'd be willing to do it. I mean, again, I feel
I got the answer.
I'm not taking any shots at any of the 3 TV stations because they're dealing with a lot of money problems and other things. But they've just all of them have dropped the ball in high school football coverage.
What do
And
you got, Ed? What do you think?
This is easy. This is the easiest solution ever.
Yeah.
A Oneberg helicopter going around Friday night. We bring back the helicopter.
But maybe you could do a drone thing, other than Mount Lebanon. You know, they're crazy about the airspace there. Remember, I told you about
Yes.
Yeah.
the FAA.
Well, we tried to do the Fedko drone earlier this year. That was pretty funny. I still feel like people want to reach out and touch you, John. So I'm going to work all summer to convince you to get to some games, see the people. It should be like college game day, but it should say the Fedko zone on it. What do you think?
I agree.
I think it's not about me. So I'm hoping we can do something where we can feature more kids, and especially the band cheerleaders and the fans, you know, and feature as many as possible. That's and there's so many, you know, great stories in the middle of the year. You know, now we're down to, you know, the powerhouse usual suspects, other than, you know, a couple Laurel that have got in there. But, you know, that last week of the regular season, I was on Halloween this year. But you know,
Yeah.
season, or you get to that first round of playoffs, and it's one of the greatest nights in Western Pennsylvania. And again, I
agree.
Ratings. I've been looking for them. I have them somewhere back here. The ratings would go up. I don't understand these TV stations. Maybe they don't believe it. I have them. The ratings would go up at 11:15 on a couple of nights.
Ratings. Forget about the TV ratings, John. It's all right here on Oneberg. These are These are the only ratings that count.
Brian's a genius. By next year, it's going to be even bigger. Oneberg's going to probably have 900,000 followers.
I hope.
And
we hope.
Yeah, and you can see how easy this is. Look, I got my phone set up on some boxes. So
yeah,
the boxes that I'm normally hit with. So now to kind of, I mean, you know, even these local sportscasts, they're doing these. Every one of them has 1,000 podcasts. You know what I mean? It looks like they're all doing them from their basement or their bathroom or something. But it's look at how easy we did this. Look how
love it. Please come back, John. Having you on has been one of the highlights of the entire network ever. For personally speaking, for me and for Ed, to get to know you as well has been a treat, and we hope we can keep doing it.
Well, I love Pittsburgh. I love the city. So anything I can do to give back, that's why. You know, if I can help with high school football coverage, I want to do it. I mean, I'm a young man now that my kids are, you know, off doing what they're doing. I have nothing to do but sit around and listen to music. That's okay for half an hour a day, but the rest of the time I need to be working for Oneberg.
John, one more thing here before we sign off. Can you guys see this picture? This was the 3 of us at Montour High School back in August when we first started this whole thing. Can you guys see that?
I can't see it. Hold it up.
I got it on the screen. I guess you'll have to watch it afterwards. But it's the picture of you, me, and Brian at Montour when this whole thing first started.
When we were when we were taping our promos, and Kyler went off that night. He had like 2 homers and 5.
That's right.
That was your son. You were watching the game.
When we were taping that, Kyler was 5 for 5 with 2 homers. Because I watched. And we're taping that, and he's like, every time I turn down, he's hitting another homer. So that was
amazing. That was a great night, man. That was a cool night at Montour, and
I love
more to come. More to come.
You know what? Another great program, another great high school. There was a guy by the name of Glenn Vittmeyer. He had a son who went a superstar pitcher at LSU.
Baseball.
Yeah. The Vittmeyers are big in Montour, but
huge.
You know, that's a great program over there at Montour. Great. So we appreciate. They're always, as you noticed, Brian, they're always really helpful. Really.
Oh yeah.
Great facility.
They didn't blink an eye. Chris Stone, who's the superintendent there, I called him, and he was like, 100%. We'll keep the lights on for you.
Great people over there, and a great facility. It's a beautiful campus.
It's outer space like.
Yep.
John, Montour's 2 most favorite graduates, most famous, right? Michael Keaton and Brian Carothers. They're the 2 that come out of the Spartan land.
It's that Robinson area.
Keaton and Carothers.
It's a great area. Great suburb of Pittsburgh.
And they also have a great football coach in Lou Serro, who used to be at Seton LaSalle.
Lou Serro at Seton LaSalle is one of the all. Do I have time to do a quick Lou Serro story?
Please.
Let's do it.
I did with my Lou Serro story because I never did a top 5 players. I got to give you 2 stories. I was at a nun's funeral. Okay. I mean, I love nuns. And none that
I don't know if am I allowed to laugh or no?
No.
I don't know. I'm having Catholic guilt if I laugh, Brian.
Nun's funeral.
It sounds like a joke. Three
like
nuns walk into a bar.
Yeah, I just want to go into a bar. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
96. 96. Okay. Anyway, I'm at her funeral, and one of the girls who's in the funeral parlor came up to me and said, "I want to tell you, my husband's a football coach, and this is number one, the power of Oneberg, but also my conviction on these picks." And she said he was so excited when you did your top 5 coaches because he coached with Neil Gordon and he coached with Jim Render. And before she ever said it, said he knows that Gordon's one of the top 5. And she said, absolutely. He said, he's showing everybody, look at this. He knows that if Gordon would have stayed at Penn Hills and they wouldn't have run him out on some crazy charges or made up stuff by a group of parents, he'd have won 4 or 5 WPIALs there. Neil Gordon was one of the greatest coaches I ever saw. I don't care about what his record was. He was phenomenal. He turned Penn Hills into an absolute powerhouse. And ask George Novak, who he beat 3-0 one year in one of the greatest games I've ever seen. So that's my Neil Gordon story. I put him number 5 coach. I stand by that. And I love Bobby Palkin. I love Art Walker. I love Terry Todd. Nothing against them. They're like 6, 7, 8.
Nothing.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Now I want to tell you about a player I put in the top 5. The guys like Mike White. What are you doing? I feel 100% positive about this. So when I talk about the top 5 players I ever saw in WPIAL, it's guys I saw, and I'm dead serious, and I'm not bragging, but I'm really good at scouting baseball, and I can be a good football scout. I saw this kid, and when I saw him as a young player, and I said, this kid's going to play in the NFL. He's flat out going to play in the NFL. He had a rocket arm. He had an unbelievable command. And when he was a senior, he was the best quarterback I ever saw in high school. The best. And I talked to Lou Serro about this. And you could ask Serro about it. I bet he believed it. I remember I was talking to him in the hallways of Seton LaSalle. And I said, Lou, this kid's going to play in the NFL. There isn't a doubt in my mind.
Can I guess?
And Serro said, you're right. He's going to play in the NFL. Well, guess what? He played in the NFL, and he beat the Steelers. I'm talking.
Can I guess?
Bruce Gradkowski. He is the best quarterback. I'm talking quarterback I've ever seen. Now, I would put Terrell Pryor above him. Terrell Pryor was one of the top 2 football players in the history of the WPIAL, in my opinion. Arrington being number 1. So I'm not saying Gradkowski was better than Terrell Pryor. I am saying Bruce Gradkowski was the best quarterback I ever saw in the WPIAL. And he beat the Steelers. So if you want to
both of them did.
He beat the Steelers. Ask the Steelers if he's any good. I remember when he was playing the Steelers. He was playing in Oakland. And I told my boys, they were in high school, I said, Gradkowski's going to beat him. And he did. He beat him.
As did Terrell Pryor when he was with the Oakland Raiders.
Yep.
So there's a trivia for you. John's 2 greatest high school football players both beat the Steelers as members of the Oakland Raiders.
They'd be 2 of my 5. And I'll tell you and the other, I can tell you what the other ones are.
But you said LeVar.
Tyler Boyd of Clairton was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And of course you got to put Terrell Pryor in there. You have to. He's number 2. And LeVar Arrington was the greatest player I've ever seen in any.
There's so many other ones too. Ty Law, Darrell Rivas from Aliquippa.
Well, I would put Robert Foster as 4. Robert Foster at Central Valley was everything, man. And as soon as you saw him, you said NFL. NFL. Robert Foster had NFL written all over him. Of course, he went in the NFL.
Great stuff, John. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us. Brian, thank you as well. Any final words before we sign off?
Thank you, John. Thank you so much, John. Thanks, Ed.
Awesome.
Let's do it again soon. That's going to do it for our broadcast tonight. Make sure you keep things logged on here to Oneburg Facebook, Oneburg YouTube, or maybe continue to listen back on Spotify, wherever you're catching your Oneburg content. We appreciate you. Enjoy the WPIAL championship games this weekend. All four of the 6. We have already crowned Aliquippa in Class 4A and Central Catholic in Class 6A, but 4 more will be crowned this weekend at Acrisure Stadium. That'll do it for our broadcast tonight here on Oneburg. Have a great night, everyone.